that's a sound that will be familiar to a lot of you out there, and it is of course the sound of a milking parlour. And today, for the Organic Matters podcast, brought to you by the Irish Organic Association, we are on Sean Condon's farm in County Limerick, and Sean has just finished milking the cows for the morning, and we've stepped outside for the interview. Sean, it is an absolutely gorgeous day, but I mean, for people who maybe aren't familiar with dairy farms, kind of take us through a routine. When do the cows come in? When do you get going? When do clusters go on?
Well, I start in the morning. Clusters start to go on around 7:30, and they're outdoors at the moment now. They're out day and night. Weather is very good. It's nice and dry, so they're out day and night. And we start milking about 7:30. Just milk once a day. And after that we bottle some milk to deliver organic raw milk.
And it's a really kind of nice kind of process that you have here, because I talked to a lot of organic farmers, and actually a lot of them are once a day. Have you always been milking once a day? Because most farmers, conventional farmers, even some organic farmers, are twice a day, but have you always done OAD once a day?
Well, I've been milking once a day for over 20 years. I did it originally for lifestyle reasons, like the idea of having the evenings off. So it's
for golf or something, was it?
Yeah, or a bit of camogie training maybe, or a bit of fishing maybe sometimes. But it's just nice to have time with the family. My kids were very young at the time, and there's no way I'd ever go back. But it's worked out well.
And did you have any somatic cell count issues when you went once a day? Because that's something that puts people off it.
Yeah, absolutely none. I think there's always the first thing that gets mentioned, but it was never an issue for me. So if your cell count is good, when you go once a day, you won't have problems. But if you've got problems, they just get multiplied on once a day.
I told someone I was going to come and visit you, and their eyes kind of popped out of their head, and they're like, he's the man that Teagasc don't want to tell you about because his figures are so good. Because he's doing organic dairy and he's making so much money from it because he's direct selling. But I mean, it's a really kind of interesting thing, and I guess if we break that down, I'm not going to ask you your overall income rate, but like, how long have you been organic? Because I think you did it, I mean, before it became popular, if you like.
I'm organic about 17 years, I think. I went organic because I suppose I always liked the idea of organic, and I went and did it at the time, and I've no regrets for doing it, But the raw milk, selling milk directly, came afterwards then, that's something that developed after a period of time. But I like doing that, and it's profitable, and there's a demand for it. There's a niche market there, and people that buy it love to get it fresh from the cow. So yeah, it's good. I like doing it. Yeah.
And how did it start? Did someone come to you and look for milk directly from the bulk tank essentially, or how did it work out?
Yeah, I suppose that's how it started, when somebody came and looked for it from the bulk tank, and then they wanted more, and they had a friend who wanted some, and it just started to grow, and then the urban co-op in Limerick was set up, and Anne Maher, who was involved in the urban co-op, used to come to me for milk, and she asked me would I supply the urban co-op, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So we kind of bottle somewhere between 1,500-1,700 litres a week now. So yeah, it's good.
Do you think everyone could do it?
It's available for everybody to do it, but I think you need to be, there's a lot of attention to detail. There's a lot of extra testing to keep the Department of Agriculture happy. You've got to register with the Department of Agriculture to do it in the first place. So it's you've got to be prepared to do it well, because if you do it badly, then that's a disaster. It's something that has to be done well, and having it clean and having everything right is vitally important.
But how much are you getting for a litre of milk?
Well, it varies. I put milk into the likes of the urban co-op, those kind of shops, for $2.20 a litre in plastic bottles. Then I have milk that I sell to somebody else who sells it on in Dublin. He's the Natural Milk Company, Michael Keating. So he it's a different price to him because obviously he's collecting it from the gate and he's marking it afterwards. So that's a different price. But the stuff I sell myself, goes at $2.20 a litre.
Yeah, $2.20 a litre, and say for a conventional dairy farmer, they're getting about 45 cent a litre at the minute, give or take, and that's a good milk price at the minute. You know, most dairy farmers are happy enough with that. So you know, people will be listening and they'll kind of be crunching some numbers on it there. Another thing, you were saying your OAD, but I mean organic feed is very expensive. Do you feed your cows?
No, my cows start to calve in late February, so they go straight to grass from calving without any meal. If the weather is bad, they just go out for a few hours by day, get grass and silage, so they don't get any meal. I would feed a small bit in the winter time to a small number of cows just to produce a bit of milk for bottling. And
I mean, that's unusual because in a lot of systems they would be feeding quite a lot of concentrates. How do you find your milk yields then? Because typically OAD usually yields less milk, and then you're not feeding concentrates as well. Is that an issue for you?
Well, it's not an issue. I suppose the yields are low. I yield about 3,000 litres per cow, and I'm fine with that. That's, you know, I'm not worried about yields. But the organic meal is very expensive and you need a very high price. So I just feed a little bit in the winter and that works very well for me on once a day. And
do all the costs kind of balance out? Because I'm sure some farmers might be listening thinking, oh my God, 3,000 litres isn't an awful lot compared to the average, which might be about 6,000 litres for a lot of farmers out there.
Yeah, it's low. It's definitely low yield. But yeah, for me, it works for me. My figures work out on 3,000 litres. Maybe for some people they wouldn't, but my costs are extremely low.
And in terms of grazing rotations, multi-species swards we've heard a lot about, and do you put any kind of extra focus on that?
Not really. I've tried multi-species sward. What I found is that it didn't persist. After maybe 3 years, a lot of stuff was gone and the ryegrass was dominating again. So yeah, look, they're interesting. Maybe there will be a help environmentally for people to use less nitrogen. I'm not convinced they're the be all and end all as we're being told they are, you know. So time will tell. But I find that my stocking rate is low, so I'm growing plenty grass with the old swards that I have.
Oh, one sec. Is that a voice outside? Will we have a look?
So.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just have a quick look.
Right.
We've just popped out because Sean and I were having a chat, but he's had some customers call to the farm. Could you just tell me your name?
My name is Eileen and I've called to collect some milk for my daughter. Her daughter seems to be allergic to the bottled milk that she buys in the shop, so she has tried this milk on previous occasion, so it seemed to help with her daughter, and her gut, seemed to be stabilised after that. So I'm back again to get more, and they thought it was the most beautiful creamy milk that ever was drunk, like in the house. They absolutely loved it and just wanted to have more.
That's lovely. And are you from the Limerick area?
Yes, I'm from near Herbertstown.
That's lovely altogether. Well, best of luck and thank you very much, and have a nice day.
You too. Now, thank you very much.
Take care.
Okay, bye bye.
That was nice. Do you usually have people just call to the yard looking for milk?
Yeah, I get people who come every week for milk. Yeah, so I'd know most of the time that they were coming. I didn't know they were coming today, but I have people who call to the farm every week for milk.
That's amazing. And she spoke about how it was for her granddaughter essentially, and talking that it was kind of better for her gut. I mean, is that some of the feedback that you get, that people find if they have health problems that's why they come and get the milk? Yeah,
I hear that all the time. Yeah, you get people who kids with different issues, and the different practitioners put them on raw milk, and people who want that raw milk then are prepared to travel from wherever to get it.
And how far do people come?
look, people come different distances. That couple came probably 17, 18 miles for 8 litres of milk. So it's just, that's the way, people will travel to get it if they need it.
Have you had, what's the furthest away county do you think that someone's come to?
I'd have somebody coming from Tipperary was coming regularly, yes, which probably were coming at 30, 35 miles every week.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does that kind of give you kind of a feeling that you're doing something right when people are willing to come that far?
Yeah, I suppose, you feel that people appreciate what you're doing, and it means something to them, that you're producing a product that they want. At the end of the day, it's just organic raw milk, but it's not readily available, so they can get it, and has the extra testing done on it, and they feel safe with it, and I feel safe selling it.
Because you do, because there is kind of a standard test that you can do for raw milk, but you actually go above that and you do kind of a higher level one as well.
Well, there's the standard milk testing EU regulations that every dairy farmer in the country will do, but for this you have to do testing every month for things like staph and intro, and I also have to do testing for Salmonella, Campylobacter, all the different pathogens, so they have to be clear all the time. There's no room for any mistakes there, so if I failed any of those tests, I'd be stopped straight away. So it's about attention to detail, and as I said to you earlier, it's available for everyone to do it, but it's not everybody is prepared to give it the time and the attention to detail it needs.
And in terms then, say, for treating the cows, because I guess on a once-a-day system you usually have fewer, say, issues around lameness and things like that, which is a big issue for a lot of dairy farms. But I mean, you still might have mastitis issues. So what's your kind of treatment course then if something has mastitis?
So generally, if it's a small case of mastitis, I don't use antibiotics. Just keep drawing it out, and obviously not milk it into, just milk it and throw it away, and it will come right if it's just a kind of a standard case of mastitis. If you had a case, and it's very rare, but where a cow is sick, well then that's a different issue. You have to get the vet to check the cow, and the vet might put the cow on antibiotics, but that milk wouldn't go into be used for bottling for months afterwards. I just keep on giving it to calves as soon as they were off the antibiotic treatment, and just to be doubly sure.
There's a big push on now to get more organic farmers in Ireland. There's only about 2%, I think, of all farmers at the minute are organic, and there's a specific push on organic dairy. And we talk to a lot of suppliers. There's Glenisk, there's the Little Milk Company, there's the Village Dairy, and they're all crying out for organic dairy suppliers. But I mean, what's your advice to farmers out there who are maybe thinking of converting to organic dairy?
Well, I suppose it's very hard to advise people, but the thing is, if you're converting to organic dairy, if you want to, when it comes to supplying, if you're a spring calving herd, the Little Milk Company obviously buy milk for making cheese for export, and just buy milk from spring until late autumn. So the Little Milk Company would be very suitable. The majority of processors in Ireland of organic milk tend to use a lot of it for drinking milk, bottled, so they look for milk all year round. So in that situation, supplying a lot of those processors, you're supplying milk for the winter as well. So the Little Milk Company then would be the only one who would be buying summer milk.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way the lie of the land. There are a few options now for farmers. There are a few buyers, whereas that wasn't the case a few years ago. But the majority still look for a percentage of the milk in the winter.
And I guess, I mean, for you here, and you have such a lovely farm looking around, and kind of your hedgerows are brimming with light. I mean, is organic and is the way you're farming kind of part of your ethos as well? I mean, it's not just about the organic milk, is it about kind of the land as well and the treatment of the land?
Yeah, I suppose I was always interested in the wildlife, the biodiversity side of things, so I suppose that's maybe what pulled me towards organic in the first place. And I probably dropped my stocking rate. My stocking rate is low now because I'm bottling milk and all that, so I don't want to have too big a herd. So doing that just helps the environment. It helps the biodiversity on the farm. There's a huge difference because the pressure isn't on the farm. So I can see a massive difference that way. Just way more wildlife because everything isn't just being, it's just not as intensive. And that's the way I like it. But if more farmers were doing that, it would make a massive difference in the country.
I was really impressed as well because earlier we were walking down your laneway and you pointed out kind of a pond that you've created. And can you just explain what it is and what's it for?
Oh, that's the constructed wetland. Yeah.
I love the way you said, that's just the integrated wetland, Hannah. That's all it is. But it was what is it exactly?
Well, really, what I use it for is for any dirty water. Now I collect the dirty water like every other farmer, and we'll say for organic it's very important because it's the only nutrients you have is the ones, but
dirty water is, for people that might not know, it's when you're cleaning down the milking parlour after the cows and you're kind of washing it. So it's very liquidy essentially.
It is, but that's all collected in the tank. But for maybe bits of dirty water that would come off the laneway, for example, would end up there. It basically cleans the water naturally. There's just 3 different ponds, and it takes with reeds, and they're reeds that are growing most of the year. They seem to grow almost all year round, so they just take out nutrients, and it goes from one pond to the next to the third, and before it goes into the stream. So basically it's a way of just trying to avoid any dirty water going into the stream.
I love that you've taken that on. You're like, I'm going to do this. This is something that I want to do myself. It's a really kind of nice idea to it. And you've been an organic dairy farmer a long time, and like I said, there's this push to get more organic dairy farmers in. But like, not just in terms of talking to farmers, but talking, say, to the Department of Agriculture or to Teagasc, has there been any one big stumbling block that you see out there and you just can't fathom why it hasn't been fixed at this stage?
Well, I suppose one thing I notice with people that are dairy farming, conventional farmers, it's just the fertiliser, the artificial fertiliser, and they're just totally hung up on it and think that they just can't do without it, and it's a hang up that farmers have. So they're just really slow, and they're afraid to go organic, and that lingers there all the time. That fear, and you talk to somebody, and they still have it, and I think it's the one thing that holds people back. But the grass just grows; it always grew, and it will grow again. You grow more of it per hectare with fertiliser, but in an organic situation, you have a lower stocking rate, and that sorts that out. And I suppose the trick then is to try and get a price per litre because you will be producing less litres. And it's not rocket science really. Like, it's just you just work it out. Lower stocking rate, less milk, better price, but it benefits the environment. I think farmers in general in the country, conventional farmers, they're keeping an agricultural industry going, fertiliser and feed, and they're milking a lot of their cows to pay off these bills. So when you're organic, you don't have those bills, so less cows will do because you don't have to pay those bills anymore. And I think that's a simple way of putting it, but it is the reality of it. Yeah.
Sean, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
For those of you listening at home, if you want to buy some of Sean's milk, sure, you can call the house or go to the Urban Co-op or somewhere like that. But for now, you've been listening to the Organic Matters podcast, and it is brought to you by the Irish Organic Association. So you can visit them on www.irishorganicassociation.ie. But make sure to subscribe so you can download the next podcast and stay up to date. But I've been Hannah Quinn-Mulligan, and thank you very much for listening.